Saints fans, congratulations because you just won a brand new car!
Big business.
I push it to the mother limit. Let's get it. Riding in me, nigga, we gon' get it. Caught I was down, I salute the dealer. Let's get it. Everywhere we go, we keep it lit. Don't you know you the big bitch, fake them like this. Beat it out the kitchen. It's up in here, I'm on a mission.
Step onto the game!
Good morning, good evening, and good night, whatever time of the day you are watching. I hope it is a good one. Today we have a very special video for you guys, and if you say I always say that, then you must be a Derek Carr hater. Because I'm sure you guys have seen the news by now. Quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, Derek Carr, will be visiting New Orleans this week to talk to the Saints brass and talk about possibly the idea of Derek Carr being our next quarterback. And so we are going to go from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston to Taysom Hill to Trevor Siemian to Ian Book, back to Jameis Winston to Andy Dalton to now Derek Carr. It has been quite a whirlwind since Drew Brees retired as quarterback. And so I'm sure that we have a lot of very, very calm opinions about this, right? Right? I mean, Derek Carr, he doesn't exactly enact excitement when you hear that Derek Carr is going to be your team's quarterback. And no, Derek Carr visiting the Saints this week does not mean that we are guaranteed to land him as our next quarterback. But it does seem like there's a strong possibility it can happen, right? So I have a few thoughts about this. First off, does Derek Carr coming to the Saints excite me? No. Would I be mad at it? No. I would be fine with Derek Carr as our quarterback. I would be actually content, is a good word. It will make me feel contentment. Like, I will not be excited, but I also will not be enraged. I think Derek Carr is a fine quarterback. I think Derek Carr is in that middle of the pack quarterback tier that if you have a great team around him, then he can do some good things. But I don't think he's, that level of Patrick Mahomes, of Joe Burrow, of what we got spoiled by with Drew Brees, that top of the line, Hall of Fame potential quarterback. So that's where the expectation hit comes from. When you have Drew Brees as your quarterback for 15 years, you get used to just the highest level of play from a quarterback. And we have to accept that, again, and I say this many times, Hall of Fame quarterbacks don't grow on trees, right? So it's exciting when you have a guy that you think can be the guy for the next 10, 15 years who's going to be an all-pro Hall of Fame quarterback. But usually, most teams are in that middle of the pack where you get a quarterback and you just hope that he can run the fort for 4 or 5 years and be solid at it. Doesn't have to be great. You just don't want him to be atrocious. Derek Carr has had years where he looked great. He's had years where he's looked atrocious. Usually that's where the middle of the pack quarterbacks come from. The question is, can Derek Carr excel with this coaching staff and with this team? I do still think we have enough talent that Derek Carr can be very effective as the Saints quarterback. But this all comes back to the same damn thing that I keep saying. I just don't trust Dennis Allen as a head coach. As a defensive guy, Dennis Allen is top of the line. He's elite. He's elite. As a head coach, I just do not have faith in him. So it would take an elite quarterback. We would have to have gotten Lamar Jackson or brought Lamar Jackson in for a visit for me to be excited. Because an elite quarterback can mask an average head coach. A middle-of-the-pack quarterback isn't really going to do anything. What I think Derek Carr would bring to us is, I do think he would make us solid / contenders in a way that we're not going to be the worst team. I don't think we're going to be Super Bowl contenders either. I think Derek Carr would essentially be what Kirk Cousins is to the Vikings, and the Saints are going to turn into the Kirk Cousins Vikings. And that is, Kirk Cousins has the Vikings as a good team, and then the next year, they're usually like a bad team again. There have been good years with Kirk Cousins with the Vikings, and there's been bad years. But at the end of the day, even when they had their good years, like this was a good year for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, their peak seems to always be that they will be no more than a second-round team. In fact, Kirk Cousins has only had one playoff win during his time with the Vikings. I think he's made the playoffs like 3 or 4 times with the Vikings, and only one playoff win. Of course, y'all know who that playoff win came against.
Cousins throws, passes, caught for the win.
So their peak has been the second round. I think that would be Derek Carr with the New Orleans Saints. I think that even if we had a good year, our peak would be the second round. I don't think it would get any higher than that. I don't think that Derek Carr and Dennis Allen, like on their best performances, can lead us even to a championship game. I think our peak would be a first round win, and then we'd get bounced out the second round. That would be the maximum value that Derek Carr and Dennis Allen can bring to the team. So then you ask yourself, do you want that? Is that the fandom that you want for the next 3 or 4 years? And this is, I'm talking best case scenario. Again, I don't think Dennis Allen has a peak to reach, so I don't even know if he's going to get Derek Carr to make us even make the playoffs. But I think if he did, and if he did, I would be more than happy to admit that I was wrong about Dennis Allen, and my apology will be just as loud as the disrespect has been. But I don't think we'll go any further than the second round with a peak Derek Carr and a peak Dennis Allen. So that's an adjustment, right? Because for the past 15 years, not counting the last 2 seasons, we've always had this Super Bowl or bust mentality, because from year one, Drew Brees and Sean Payton brought us to the NFC Championship game. So every year after that, we always had Super Bowl aspirations, because we knew that Sean Payton and Drew Brees were a top-of-the-line head coach and quarterback combo. Now, unfortunately, we saw that the ceiling for a Drew Brees and Sean Payton combo was the Super Bowl championship. We saw that the floor for a Drew Brees and Sean Payton combination was 7 and 9 seasons. In fact, we had like 3 or 4 of those seasons, and we had way too many 7 and 9 seasons for having a top-of-the-line head coach and quarterback, but that's for another video. But we at least knew that had we hit our peak, it was going to be a Super Bowl type season, right? Those are the fun seasons for me, like when I feel like my team is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Being in that middle of the pack where, you know, you feel like maybe your team's peak is just, hey, if we make it to the second round, that's a great year for us. It's okay, but again, when a lot of the bulk of us young Saints fans fandom was the Drew Brees and Sean Payton era, right? 15 years, I mean, that's a long time for us in our 30s and 20s who watch the Saints. Now, everybody in their 40s and 50s are probably going to be like, oh, you know, back in our day, the Saints fans wish that, you know, we made the second round every year. So I get that, but look, man, goddamn it, times change, standards are raised, and now I want my fandom to be where I'm cheering for a Super Bowl team, not just a team that, you know, if we make it to the second round, good for us. I will say this, I do always appreciate that the Saints don't actively tank, which I actually would not be opposed to tanking, so I kind of feel like we should kind of just reset the team and, you know, maybe get a high draft pick in 2024. The Saints don't operate like that. Mickey Loomis does not operate like that. He's like, every year I'm going to go essentially all in to try to contend, so just so I can have a shot in January. And I say this many times in my videos. All you can ask for as a fan is that your team has a shot in January. So I don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, oh, I'm mad that the team is trying to, you know, take advantage of the NFC South and be a contender while we still have guys like Lattimore and DeMario and Cam and Kamara. All of them are like, you know, in their prime days / the dwindling days for guys like Cam and DeMario. And so you want to take advantage of those guys while you still have them. But it's still kind of just an expectation shift for me to go from feeling like my quarterback and head coach combo can lead my team to a Super Bowl to knowing or feeling that, and I could be wrong again, I hope that Derek Carr and Dennis Allen would prove me wrong if Derek Carr winds up becoming our next quarterback. But I feel like the second round would be the peak. So I'm not going to be mad if Derek Carr is our next quarterback. But I'm not going to be excited either. I'm not going to be doing cartwheels in the streets or anything like that. It'll just be like, okay, you know, good for us. Maybe the NFC South can continue to be a little bit bad next season and we can win enough games to win the NFC South with Derek Carr. Because Derek Carr would instantly be the best quarterback in the NFC South if we sign him or trade for him. But we also got to kind of be realistic. Like, it's very rare that a division is bad 2 years in a row. So I see a lot of people who are defending Dennis Allen coming back and bringing in Derek Carr and all that, saying that, oh, well, the NFC South sucks. Well, yes, the NFC South did suck this year, but that's not a guarantee that the NFC South is going to suck next year. I mean, parity reigns king in the NFL. So the Panthers or the Falcons, I know this may sound crazy, you're like, hell no, but I'm telling you, the Panthers or the Falcons can possibly take a lead next year and suddenly become a contender. Nobody thought in 2005 that the Saints in 2006 were going to be an NFC Super Bowl contender. And we were, right? Like, it changes real fast in the NFL. So I'm not going to go ahead and be like, but because the NFC South and the NFC is kind of weak, that, we have this door open to contending next season. We got at the offseason playout, we got at the draft and free agency playout before we talk about the outlook of the NFC South and the outlook of the NFC Conference in general. And so another thing, is the reason why the Raiders are okay with Derek Carr visiting the Saints, because Derek Carr is still under contract with the Raiders, but the reason why they are okay with him visiting is because they want to get some compensation back for Derek Carr. Or they're going to have to just straight up release him. You release him so they can save money, but here's the problem, and this is probably why the Saints are bringing in Derek Carr and entertaining trading him, even though we know he's going to get cut. Like, if Derek Carr is not traded to a team, he's going to get cut. So you might be wondering, why the hell are the Saints trying to entertain bringing him in and trading for him and giving up draft picks when we can just wait for him to get cut? The Saints are probably trying to play the odds, and they're saying that, okay, if Derek Carr is released and maybe they feel strongly that Derek Carr is their guy, they don't want to have Derek Carr enter the open market where a team can outbid them for his services. So you bring him in, you say, okay, we'll give you a third or fourth round pick, and that way you're not competing with the other teams that might want to bring Derek Carr in free agency. I don't know if I agree with that. I want to know, do you guys agree with that? Do you think we should just take our chance and wait for Derek Carr to be released? Or are you okay with giving up what will probably be a third or fourth round pick to just have him come in and you don't have to worry about competing with all the other teams? The problem also with trading with him is that Derek Carr is owed a lot of money. He is owed a lot of money. I believe he's owed $40 million. That is a lot of money for a guy who is, again, in my opinion, a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. Now, granted, the price tag for these quarterbacks continues to go up every year. So, honestly, $40 million might be a bargain for the Derek Carrs of the world in 2023. I mean, like, if you want a Joe Burrow or Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen, you're probably going to have to start paying $70 million a goddamn year. I'm sure Lamar Jackson is going to want like $60, $70 million a year. I mean, I get it. Quarterback is a valuable position in the NFL. So $40 million might be a bargain for Derek Carr. But if you trade for Derek Carr, yes, you are now eliminating other teams from being able to scoop him up in free agency, but it will carry a hefty price tag. I know the Saints don't give a shit. The Saints don't give a damn about the goddamn cap. So I appreciate that. I just don't. It's gonna be tough for me to accept giving up a draft pick and having to pay a lot of money for a quarterback who I knew was going to be released if no other team did that. But I mean, a credit to Mickey Loomis, but maybe also a detriment. Like, he's always going to go all in. He's always going to do moves for his team to compete. And a part of me appreciates that because I want my team to always be competitive. I want my team to always be like, we're going to try to be a contender. But because I just don't have any faith in Dennis Allen, it's like, where is this going to lead us to? Like, where is this going to lead us to? In my opinion, Dennis Allen isn't bad enough to be where we're going to be a bottom 5 team, but he's not good enough to be a team that's a coach that's going to lead you to the playoffs even. So you're in purgatory, and that's what I hate to be as a fan. Like, you're in purgatory. You're like a 6, 7, 8 win team every season where you're not good enough to make the playoffs, and you're not good enough to have a top pick where you can draft, one of the highly touted quarterbacks at the draft each year. So I just feel like because I don't have faith in Dennis Allen, and I'm not like thinking that Derek Carr is going to be that great with us, that I think that we're going to be in purgatory. I think it's going to be another 7, 8 win season, and whoop-de-doo, right? Again, even if they prove me wrong and are very good, and Dennis Allen shows that he actually can be a playoff coach, I still think then that our peak would be maybe a first round win, and then the second round we could bounce. I don't see any vision whatsoever where Derek Carr and Dennis Allen would ever lead us to the Super Bowl. Ever. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not sure for these guys to not be successful, guys. Anybody that wears black and gold, anybody that has that fleur de fucking lee on their uniform, on their clothes and whatnot, I'm cheering for their success. I want Dennis Allen to make me look stupid, but he hasn't yet. And he's had 4 chances as a head coach to make a lot of people look stupid, and he hasn't yet. So, when someone shows you who they are, right? So that's my thoughts on Derek Carr visiting New Orleans. Again, it doesn't guarantee that just because he's coming in for a visit that he's going to be our next quarterback, but I don't think the Saints are doing this for shits and giggles, right? Like, if they're bringing in somebody for a visit, that usually means they want that guy, and we'll see what comes of that. I do like Derek Carr. Again, he doesn't excite me, but I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he raises our ceiling up more than what Andy Dalton damn sure was capable of. Jameis was always iffy with me because I thought that Jameis at his peak could be really exciting, but Jameis just can't stay healthy. So we obviously know that the Jameis Winston era is officially done in New Orleans. I wish him all the best wherever he ends up at. I just hope that his body can stay together. And another thing, speaking of bodies staying together, I damn sure wish Michael Thomas' his body stayed together, because Derek Carr with Michael Thomas would make me a little bit more excited, right? But knowing that this guy is probably not going to be out on our team in another month or so, I like Chris Olave, but it's hard to get excited. Like, it's hard to get excited for a Derek Carr when, you know, again, the pieces around him is what you would convince yourself can elevate him to being a Super Bowl quarterback. Sort of like Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford was a middle-of-the-pack quarterback, but if you put great pieces around him the way the Rams did, well, then yeah, he could be a Super Bowl quarterback. I think Derek Carr's in that boat. Derek Carr can be a Super Bowl quarterback, but he has to have great pieces around him. I don't think the Saints have great pieces around him, and I damn sure don't think the Saints have a great coach around him to ever do that. So that's where we're at. But I want to know you guys' opinion. Do you want Derek Carr as the Saints quarterback? Are you excited about the possibility? Are you angry about the possibility? Are you like me? You're kind of like, whatever. It is what it is. And do you think that the Saints should wait for a free agency to get Derek Carr? Or do you think that the Saints should just say, screw it, we're not trying to compete with anybody. We'll sacrifice a draft pick and we'll pay him his $40 million and we'll just trade for him because we believe he's our guy. How do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments. At the end of the day, we're all Saints fans, whether we agree or disagree. We're going to be on this goddamn train. I should say float, because we're in New Orleans. We're going to be on this float together. And if the tractor goes out, like that one probably just did, if the tractor goes out and the parade float busts down, oh well. But if that mother freaking float goes all the way to the promised land, then hell, we'll be in who that Nirvana. Hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the Jono Bone Show. If you did, do not be afraid to hit that like and subscribe button, okay? Like and subscribe. Or not, I'm just a human being. But I'm not the law. See you guys next time. And as always, it's still, I gotta stop doing it. My chest ain't that strong. Who that?
Big business.
I push it to the mother limit.